get set for the Utes. Let's look forward to the grand final, the Coates Hire. Sydney 500, December 4 to 6. Who will be crowned as the 2015 V8 Supercars champion? It's a massive event for the whole family. It's the final round for the V8 Utes in the Dunlop Series as well. There's going to be so much to see around Sydney's Olympic venues, just out west of Sydney, and a great whole weekend, that one. We're just nearly ready for the Utes, but we're celebrating 10 years of arm roll and pole position. The arm roll pole position has had some crazy moments, but none more so than this weekend with the rain and the crashes, and I think David Reynolds definitely earned it. He caught up with Rihanna earlier.
Dave Reynolds, yesterday's conditions so bizarre for a top 10 shootout, and I think you said it was the first time you've driven a lap here in wet weather conditions.
Yeah, so I think it was the first time I've driven in the wet here, so I was really, really nervous. And to be fair, I think it was the slowest top 10 shootout pole ever.
But fantastic result for you. You and Dean Canto starting the Bathurst 1000 from pole position.
Yeah, me and Dino, you know, last year we started pretty much dead last because I shunted in the fence in qualifying. So, you know, it's full credit to the boys. I'm trying to pay them back. And, you know, after the last couple of days we've had as a team, you know, with all the stuff with me and Chaz in hospital. So, you know, it's a good positive story.
You've had a night to let it soak in. You're here. The day is upon us, the Bathurst 1000. Do you feel extra pressure starting this race?
Not really. I kind of feel a bit relieved because I'm right at the front. So, you know, but that's forgotten about. Today's about Bathurst Championship. So as long as we finish first, I think we'll be extremely happy.
We wish you all the best. Good luck.
No worries, thanks.
And he is on that front row alongside Scott McLaughlin. Qualifying alone this year went for longer than a Clipsal 500 Sunday race. Absolutely crazy stuff. And now we can cast our eyes forward to the Utes. They're just about to get released from the pits. Here come the East Coast Bullbars V8 Utes. Rolling on out of pit lane. I've got Jason Barguana joining me for commentary. He's made his way down from race control. And this is their third and final race. Now the grid, we've gone back to doing it the old school way. So we've tallied up the points from across the weekend. That means Harris and Walton Bargs are on the front row.
Badecki and McNally there, they're going to be on the second row. And I've been watching the Utes all weekend and it's been plenty of action. These guys have raced hard. Barbera there, McLeod, they're on row 6, row 7, Wilson and Aaron Borg. David Cedars a long way back. We expect to see him near the front and he will come through this race. He's been very quick this weekend. Peter Ward there and Graham Edwards on row 11. So the grid's a little bit different, not what you expect to see in Utes, but it's going to be exciting. Out they go on their warm-up lap. We'll head them back around to the grid and we'll pick up this final race very shortly. Looking forward to this one of the Utes. So Dontas could have been on the front row had it been last the recent format that we've been using in this series with McNally. It's a shame for them that the rules changed.
Well, it's a shame for a couple, but it's better for other people. So it tends to be a swings and roundabouts when they make those sorts of changes. But it'd be good to see Dontas up there. They've been quick all weekend, haven't they? But plenty of side-by-side action with some of these Utes across the top of the mountain this weekend. It's been pretty serious, and they've raced hard.
Onboards to follow on with the Jesus Racing Ute, usually driven by Andrew Fisher, but today it's Aaron Borg, former karting racer. Got into karting due to having a bad heart condition as a kid, and his folks wanted to give him something to focus on to keep fit for. Got him into karting, and here he is today racing the Ute at the Bathurst.
Yeah, I've actually raced Aaron a couple of times in the go-karts when I dragged mine out of the shed, so a good young steerer, and it's good to see him having a crack around Bathurst. I mean, for some of these young guys to get their opportunity, particularly in these support-type categories, it is great. They do aspire to it. It's the sort of thing you grow up watching on the lounge room at home, the idea of racing at Bathurst, and then you get the opportunity.
Two good friends on the front row here. A couple of Matt Stone racing cars, second and third on the grid. So a couple different things to talk about there. McNally having a blinder of a weekend. Dontas has been getting great starts. His overall race pace for the rest of the race hasn't quite been there. And Mardrum also looking good inside the top 10, but hasn't been a front runner this weekend. And he's losing touch with our championship leader, Ryle Harris, at the moment. Needs to continue that form, needs to really push today to try and make up some points ahead of the last 2 rounds of our championship. So down through the chase we go, Yokohama tyre. Saw these guys running in variable conditions yesterday, but it looks like we're in for a dry final race here for the East Coast Bullbars V8 Utes. This will be a 7-lap journey. Chris Walton, the pole sitter, yet to claim a round win here. Yesterday we saw Roel Harris become the most winningest driver here at Bathurst with 5 race wins in the Utes. Even Peter Brock has a race win here, driving with James Brock in the Utes on the mountain. A few more onboards to watch out for. How about this guy? Cam Wilson, he's got a thumbs up. He always knows when he's on camera.
Obviously, the crew get in the ear and say, hey, mate, give it a thumbs up. We're ready to go for Sunday morning at Bathurst. And it's funny, when you walk in the gate, the atmosphere is just electric. And these support categories, they feel it as well. You can tell they're just on edge. They're, you know, the energy around the categories is quite exciting. They tend to produce one of their best races of the weekend, the Sunday morning at Bathurst. So hopefully it'll be a cracker for us. And we'll see how it goes. I mean, there's obviously a bit of rubbing and pushing throughout the course of the weekend. And to see Cedars back there in the grid, it's going to be good to watch.
Might not be the Bathurst 1000, but it is the same track. It is the same day. It is the same grid. It's still very important. All Ford front row. We saw yesterday in the top 10 shootout, Ford take their 22nd pole position here, which means that they have the most out of anyone. They were all tied up with Holden yesterday. But now we switch our attention back to the Utes. Officials leaving the grid. Board with Shamrock Racing, Lee Nicolau. He's got the Karting Association sponsoring that car. Something I know that's very close to your heart.
Absolutely, good to see. Keep an eye on Craig Dontas here at this start. He's the 3rd car back against the fence. Over the course of the weekend, he has been making some absolute cracking starts and found himself moving right up through the field. We've got a green flag at the back, so keep an eye on that car, that blue one, 3rd from the on the right there.
He's been putting that thing over towards the middle each time to try and get a good run. And away we go. We've got a staller in the background, it's Kim Jane. Everyone misses him. That was close. Oh, contact in the middle. It looked like Hansford on the middle and Marjoram on the outside. They got together with Beachy, but they all managed to squeeze through Hell Corner.
They're weaving and ducking. It was Medecky and Roel Harris there. Came together a little bit at the apex of turn 1, which has given Chris Walton a little bit of a breather. It's allowed him to get away. So there's 2 and 3 wide as we run up the mountain straight.
Lee Nicolau reaching past the window net to try and fix up his mirror. This is tight down at turn 2. Harris on the inside. Medecky, the rear end of his ute slips up. Washes off some momentum and Harris hangs on to 2nd position. That's vital.
Oh, look at this. 2 wide, 2 cars, 4 cars. Oh, it's all a bit messy. And there's Nathan Pretty up the inside and McNally there. Hopefully he can get through there side by side. So he's not going to get that job done. That's not a good place to be overtaking on the outside of the coming out of the cutting.
We saw it on the first lap in race 2, a few guys going side by side, all through the cutting, all through Repark, and eventually they sorted it out somewhere around here, but this looks more single file in front of the campers, the tents.
Always one of the hardest parts in these opening laps is your vision. You can't really see when you're tucked in behind all those cars. It's difficult to pick the apexes. It's difficult to see the fences. The traffic is intense, and it's one of the most exciting parts of the opening lap.
Snaking down through Skyline. Into the dipper we go. They're a well-behaved bunch at the moment. Through Forrest's elbow. And here goes a move from Marjoram. It's on his teammate. He gives his teammate a whack in the door. Just shifted him out the way. And here we go, side by side, young Conrad. These two both drive for Erebus. Yes, that is the same Erebus that'll be racing later today. And Dondas just says, do you mind? We're teammates, man.
So it's a bit of a late move there from Marjoram. He got almost in there, but Dondas came across. And now a drag race, side by side, into the chase. And Marjoram, he's using everything. And he's held onto it, just.
It was a big slide, now he locks it up. Desperate not to make contact again with Dondas. Washes up some speed, and the multi-spares ute of Ryan Hansen swings around. Puts him back a spot. That was great racing. Entertaining. McLeod's in on this too now.
So Marjoram made that move at Forrest elbow, but it's cost him. He's now lost a spot down at the chase. That bit of contact, but he was using everything. He was out on the dirt down there through Caltech's chase and managed to hang on to it.
Awesome racing. Now we've got Jeremy Gray up the inside. And he slots past Beachy's ute. All on top of each other as we climb the mountain for the second time. That was a long first lap. Took better part of 2.5 minutes just to complete it.
Well, they're not mucking around either. They're pretty serious, these guys, and it's right through the field. You can see they're still too wide, coming up over the hill at Mountain Straight there.
Oh, big lock up for the Rams locksmith ute. That's Jared McLeod. He saved it, but look at them all queuing up behind him now.
It's a sort of corner as you enter Griffin's Bend there. You've got to use a lot of brake pressure early, but release it. Let the car run into the apex. And that's where he was able to save that one. You can see here off the line, Jane at the back there, how lucky he was so far back on the grid, but it was Chris Walton that got the jump. And there's that contact between Harris and Madecki at the apex there that's given Chris Walton that little edge to run up the hill.
Here's this moment between the two Erebus teammates, right on the absolute edge and going over the edge there for a moment. Adam Marjoram did a good job to gather that back up and stop the ute, given how close he was. How about this on top? Beachy steps out sideways, so too Buzadzik. Tight stuff at the front. 3 forwards. Walton, Harris, Medeki.
Tell you, Harris is not letting Walton get away, is he? So Walton got that little gap on that first lap, but Harris is pushing hard to try and not let Chris Walton get away. He wants to be part of this, and Madecki's going with him as well. So, no, what have we got going here? This is not good.
Beachy into the fence.
Not good. That's a big accident through the kink there. Obviously, it's a little bit of contact, and we've obviously got a car that's turned hard right, which is where the track normally goes left. Adam Beachy in the fence at the start of Conrod Straight.
Heavy contact with that wall. Haven't had a safety car in the utes yet this weekend. That car is in an awkward spot as Mason Barbera now runs wide. I wonder...
Might have, yeah, I mean, obviously the safety car will be out with that one and try and clean up that mess. There's Kim Jane.
So it's all happening in the utes, the final race. And there's a bit of mud and grass left on the circuit there. Mason Barbera carrying some injuries from that crash in Sandown, also carrying some car injuries after that crash at Forest Elbow, maybe. What was the tipping point that started that big skirmish at the start of Conrod? Safety car has been deployed just now. Here we go. They're all on top of each other. Jeremy Gray right in the middle. Barbera on the grass makes contact with Beachy. And a big overcorrection sees him go straight into the outside wall. That's a nasty hit.
Yeah, that is a very big hit. And obviously Barbera there to be going down the grass. I'm not, you know, I mean, yeah, not good. Obviously trying to get back on. Oh. Stayed in the gas pedal and crashed in the back of Beachy, which has just speared him hard into that wall on the right-hand side. On board there with Nicolau. He's got a good view of all the action, dodging all the parts and bits, and car going everywhere. So obviously we've got the safety car out, which we predicted to obviously bring the field under control and try and clean up that mess up there at the top of the mountain.
Yokohama replays at the bottom of the hill as Mason Barbera struggling with that right front damage. Struggled to make it through the chase, and because the queue of cars was there as Jane went off, that's a really rare one for a man of his experience to have first the stall and then that.
It looks like he's tried to just keep the car, you know, obviously not jumping straight back on the racetrack there. He's run wide through the chase, and to try and pull the car up, he's lost the rear on the wet grass there this morning, and it's actually quite a good job of not hitting anything.
So we have the safety car pacing the field at the moment, and hopefully we'll get to see some more green flag running. We're not too far away from that, hopefully. Here at Mount Panorama, the Utes, their final race of the weekend. Mount Panorama Bathurst, it's race day. And we've got 2 support races to get through before the big one. We had Touring Car Masters on track early today, and now we have the Utes. Next up will be Porsche Carrera Cup Australia. And then at 11 a.m. local, it is time to drop the hammer for 161 laps. Cannot wait to see what is going to unfold around this magic mountain. We've had a crash on top of the mountain in the Utes. We can confirm that the driver is okay. Now, we've got Jeremy Gray coming over to cover. It kind of put Mason Barbera on the grass.
It certainly did, and Mason Barbera there's had a bit of a look down the inside, but, you know, look, at the end of the day, he did have the option to get out of the gas pedal. So, I mean, that's, unfortunately for Mason, it's 2 big accidents in 2 race meetings. And, you know, that's not a good situation. So, might have to have a bit of think about that one. Gary Baxter does a driving standards job in this category, so he'll have his work cut out after this one.
And this is what it looked like from the onboards. Man, that is a violent moment in the Utes. Safety car conditions on top of Mount Panorama. Here they come. The Lexus leading the way. And we've got a few more laps left to complete in this race with Adam Beachy's Ute on the back of the flatbed. And we can say that he's out of the car and A-OK, which is the good news. He'll be feeling a little bit sore after that one, no doubt, because it did make heavy contact with the outside concrete wall. You've had your share of moments. Don't need to remind you, 1997, obviously, on Sunday morning. But
Well, you didn't have to, but
I did. You did. You must get reminded of that every Sunday morning you come here.
Oh, look, at the end of the day, it's all part of your racing history here at Bathurst. You've got to have a lot of respect for this place and the drivers that tend not to end up in situations like this. So there was a very wise man by the name of Neil Crompton once told me that there's only 2 types of drivers at Bathurst, those that have crashed and those that are about to crash. So it's kind of a situation where it is the sort of place that you've got to have a lot of respect for. And, you know, that these things happen very easily at this circuit.
Which one of those 2 was Crompo?
Actually, I don't know. I'm not sure whether he's had one or not here at this place, but most of us have. We've all visited a bit of concrete around here on the odd occasion, but you try and avoid it at all costs, that's for sure.
I remember one Crompo crash, but it wasn't at the Bathurst 1000. It was a Bathurst touring car race, though, in the Coke days. Apparently some rain on top of the mountain at the moment, we're hearing. Something to think about as well.
Well, it's going to be like that today, isn't
actually.
it? And, yeah, you can see down at the bottom of the mountain. Obviously, on these Yokohama tyres, it's not the sort of thing they'll get caught out like with a slick racing tyre. But, I mean, with the Yokohama, they're able to manage that. We're underway again, the green flag. So Chris Walton has got to jump there. Got a little bit of an edge over Harris. No overtaking before the control line. The control line's just under the bridge there. And that's one of the things they've got to consider. So for the final lap of the race now, obviously time certain here this morning. So we're going to, it's going to come down to this last lap, which has now got a mixture of weather and traffic, and it's all going to be happening for these boys at the top of the mountain.
And the tyre temperatures would have cooled down under the safety car period, so this is going to be 6 kilometres of unknown territory right now for the Utes, and there's some side-by-side action with Wilson and some big lockups. He's got Cedars outside, who raced in the Great Race back in 2009. And he hangs tough on the outside. The car behind him is owned by the guy that he actually co-driven with back in 2009. But Andrew Fisher is not racing in that Ute this weekend. It's Aaron Borg. They get through there somehow.
A lot of respect there. That's good to see. Some side-by-side action, some side-by-side racing. Cedars trying to go a long way around the outside. Oh, that's close. And that's just a little bit of, I don't have enough grip. So that could have gone very ugly. But out in front at the moment, it's Chris Walton with Ryle Harris. He's now pushing hard. He wants to try and have a go. He's really got 2 spots here. He can have a crack down at Forest Elbow. There's a good braking and out braking manoeuvre there. But Chris Walton's going to cover that one, which will give Ryle Harris a good run on the Conrod Straight.
Let's see, does he park it over to the left-hand side down at Forest Elbow? That's usually the sign. Here he comes. No, he leaves the door open, but Harris not close enough. Tontis. He's thinking about Ryan Hansford in the multi-spares Ute. Son of 93 Bathurst winner Greg Hansford. Shared the car with Larry Perkins on that day. We're right on board now with Tontis. Just Car Insurance. Kitten Car Care Products. Conrod for the final time of the Utes this weekend.
Chris Walton's got enough of a gap there. He's managed to pull a little gap which is going to save him from the pressure, the move that Royal Harris is going to put on. So that's all it is. Oh, unless you make the mistake.
Here
unless you get it wrong.
Despite the lockup, he makes it through the chase. But this has given Royal Harris a sniff. He's all over the back of the tailgate. Last corner, last lap. Harris and Walton. Harris feigns the move.
Oh, there could be contact here. No. There's a bit of a push, bit of a shove. Medeki's going to buy into this as well.
And across the finish line we go. Walton gets the win. Still a bit going on back here, though. Bazatic on the outside of Jeremy Gray. And I tell you what, there's a bit of aggro in that race. There'll be a bit to talk about in the pits. Maybe even on the way back to the pits, there might be some fender rubbing. Exciting stuff, and it's Walton who takes the win, not just of the race, but of the round 2. Harris will stand on the podium for the 5th time. Mediki on the podium once again as well. And there it is, confirmation, East Coast Bullbars Australian V8 Utes, their final race. And it is Harris who takes it only just from a hard-charging bunch of Fords. Kim Jane, despite the spin and the stall, he wraps up the top 20 here, and the Utes have put on a great show here at the mountain.
Shannon's is giving you the chance to win a 14-day ultimate Forza motorsport holiday in the US with ride and drive experiences on the best racetracks in America. It also includes airfares, accommodation, and Mustang GT car hire. See Laguna Seca Raceway, Las Vegas Speedway, and Circuit of the Americas. Go to the IndyCar Firestone 600 plus $5,000 spending money if you're an eligible Shannon's Club member. To enter, go to shannons.com.au/Forza or call 134646 to obtain an eligible quote on your car, bike, or home insurance.
Probably a maximum of 8 litres to finish that race, and they worked out. Oh, sorry, mate, I'm on. Yep. Okay, we'll have a crack.